I've been playing around with Grunt for the last couple weeks. It's been pretty tentative. I haven't really delved into it until earlier today, and then and now that I've kind of played around with it makes a lot more sense to me. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to go through and basically just set up a basic grunt file and show you how to run it, and hopefully you can kind of get something out of that. Like I said, I'm kind of learning this myself, so absolutely nothing here is supposed to be taken as the correct way to do things necessarily. I mean, I did do my research, but obviously things change too over time, and this is a new language. This is a new tool built in a new language. A year from now, everything could be different. So here's what we're gonna do. First of all, Grunt, if you're not aware of really what it is, it's a task runner. It's designed to quickly automate things in your project, minifying your JavaScripts, checking it for doing JS hint on your project. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do with it, but it quickly automates that stuff. And Grunt.js runs in the language Node.js. So if you have not already done it, you want to go to nodejs.org, install Node.js. I'm not going to do a demo on how to go about installing it because it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple, and I'm sure there are videos out there for that. So basically, you want to make sure that when you put in npm, you get that into your terminal. If you're not getting that, go through, make sure you got your node set up correctly. You should be able to run npm, which is the node package manager. And we're going to install Grunt using that. So let's show you Grunt's page. This is Grunt's page, gruntjs.com. And there's a great getting started stuff in here. Documentation getting started is good. Generic test is good. Sample Grunt file, that's pretty good. So I ran through a bunch of those and kind of got the hang of it. I've gone through a bunch of the plugins. I haven't tried creating plugins yet or anything like that, but and then here's also the plugins page, which I also have over here. It takes a while to load. So we're going to be using these plugins, not all of them, but we're going to use a few of these plugins in this project, like in Cat, we'll do one of them. We'll do JS Hint and Less, and there's another one, We'll do those four. The way this works is the contrib plugins are ones created by the Grunt team, so verified type of thing. Other ones, from what I've kind of picked up on as I've been looking into Grunt, they're probably good. They're probably on the up and up, but you're kind of use at your own risk kind of thing. So anyway, those are the Grunt plugins. This is where you can go and you can on these, like we'll call it Cat, which I already had up, actually. And that'll take you to the Node Package Manager website, registry website, where you can find all this documentation, options that you have in here, and get a couple examples and stuff like that. So, resource for you. But like I said, we're going to go through and do just a really basic, really simple project, just to kind of get you familiar with the Grunt file and the whole workflow of creating one of these. Now, if I've done my job correctly, which I probably have, I've probably put a link in the description of this video to download a zipped folder of this folder so that you can kind of follow along. I might have slacked off. We'll see what happens. It's really easy. Great. I got 3 JavaScript files here. There's one that's like a header, a module, and 2 modules actually, and then a couple less files, really some less files. We're just going to show how they can get processed with Grunt. We have a developer folder, we have a production folder, which the only thing in the production folder is the index.html, which does nothing. Same for the one in the. It's just kind of give you a sense of perspective of where everything goes. From what I've been seeing, this is not altogether a bad layout for your project, not altogether bad scaffolding for a Grunt project. There might be better ones out there. You can take a look into it. I tried doing it my old way, which was having, you just have a JS folder and a CSS folder and stuff like that. And when you do it that way, it can get kind of convoluted with the file references in your Grunt file. So this seems to work well, where you just plainly separate out a developer folder and a folder of production ready code. So let's jump into it. First thing is first. We need to create a package.json file. We're going to do that in the root folder of the Grunt, the root folder of the project. Okay, so we're going to create a package.json file. So it's a JSON file. Root folder of the project. We're going to save this. First thing we need is a name. Attribute. Has to be double quotes. It's a JSON object. I have seen it throw errors. Let's see. So we need a name, and it needs to be all one word. And the convention seems to be lowercase, so Grunt demo. Fantastic. Have a callback to Testacular from AngularJS. So the naming convention seems to be lowercase dashes for spaces with this. Let's see, we also need a version. 6.6.6. And this also seems to be required where you have a number. I tried doing like number, and that did not work. So we're doing that. Next, we need actually, I'm going to just do that. We're going to see if it fills in properly when we do our next step. There's a little bit more that goes in here, but there's an automated system for adding it. So I'm going to see if it adds the whole next block. Okay, so we got our package.json. That's all that we need really for the package.json file. That's mainly used by Node, if I remember correctly, but we're also going to be using it in the Grunt file. So next we have to install Grunt locally. So I am in terminal. I am in the Grunt root folder. Okay, so that'd be here, the Grunt root folder, and we're going to do npm install Grunt save dev. I just realized too, I'm going to take a step back real quick. I didn't go into installing Grunt. Bad me, I guess. npm install -g. Highly recommended. You install Grunt, the Grunt project, the Grunt client. That's what it is. Install the Grunt client globally. That way you can call this from anywhere. So npm install -g grunt apply. You run that, and that'll install the grunt client. And then you, jumping back to where I just was, in your project folder, you run npm install grunt just by itself -- save dev -- save dev. That's what all this stuff was. Okay. Now what that's gonna do, this is not what I want, this is not what I want, this is what I want. Yes, this added the dev dependencies to the package.json file. Now, for every plugin we're going to be using, grunt plugin, we need a dev dependencies entry in here to point out what version, approximate version we're going to be using. The nice thing about doing that -- save dev is when you install the plugin to your local project folder, it will automatically look for your package.json file and add it in there for you. So you don't have to really worry about it. Like after you first create your package.json and have the name and version, you really can just like never look at the package.json again. So then there's that. npm install -- save dev, and we'll keep coming back to that -- save dev. And we're going to do our first plugin. We're going to use install. npm install clear npm install JS hint. I think we're going to start with JS hint save dev. Goes downloads, and if I here, see, shows up there. So that's good. Everything we need. Next thing we need to build now is our grunt file. Do a new file. Save as grunt file.js. Okay, so convention seems to be, I might be wrong about this, convention seems to be capital G for grunt file. I've tried it with lowercase g and that seemed to work. But you need to call it gruntfile.js. And you're going to save that also in your root folder next to your package.json. No, I don't want to purchase now. I'm going to keep evaluating. Okay, so now your grunt file, what this does is your grunt file is your configuration for grunt. This is where you're going to be doing all your matching for grunt. This is where you're telling it what plugin you want to use to do what stuff, basically, with what settings. Specific. So we start off with module exports equals function. We're going to pass in grunt. By the way, I've seen a lot of talking on their website and things like that about using being able to dynamically do this configuration object, and this seems totally possible. You can, it's an object, it's JavaScript, do whatever crazy crap you normally would do to create an object. You know, but for this demo, we're just going to do an object. So the first attribute we're doing is the package attribute, and that gets sent to grunt file.read.json. And that's going to read our JSON package.json. Yeah, so simple as that. And this is going to give us access to information in that package.json file. And we're going to go ahead and JS int. Now let's say you have multiple JavaScript applications that you're working on for this project, and one of them is called My App. So we're going to go through this demo setting up stuff for My App. We're going to do it specifically because you can specifically do stuff for specific files. That's what we're doing with this. We're going to call out specifics for this. Pre-cat. This might not make sense right now. Give me just a second. Just fill this stuff in. And we need this to be in dev/js/ my app. Actually, we want **my app, and we want to do anything that starts with my app.js. These stars, these wildcards, are called globbing patterns. That's what it's called. Globbing patterns. I'm pretty sure it's globbing patterns. It globs together. So you can look that up on their website. They got a whole bunch of wildcards you can use, and it looks like it's a ton of options. Really makes it dynamic. I haven't delved really far into it, but what this is doing is we're saying, all right, I want you to go into the development folder, I want you to go into the JavaScript folder, and then any folder, either within the JavaScript folder or any subdirectories, when you see my app followed by anything .js, anything.js, that's use that file. Okay, so it's just a selector, like a jQuery selector almost. My app. So this is going to be this, and this is our setting for. This is our file setting for pre-concatenation. This can be called anything. I'm just calling it my app pre-concat to keep it straight in my head. You can call these things anything. Post concat. We're going to do production/JS for everything. Just make sure we're looking in every folder for it. It should be in the topmost folder. And so it's going to look for that. And so what this is going to do is it's going to look for those files, and it's going to run JS hints and let us know if there's anything wrong with our JavaScript code. So the last thing we need to do to make this a valid run file, which really technically you can take all this stuff out and it will be a valid run file. Let's not get too technical. We're going to do load npm tests. What this is going to do is let it know so when you run those installs, the npm install JS hint, whatever, it creates this node modules folder in your project folder, and inside that is all the node. You got your grunt files, and you got your JS hint files, the stuff for those plugins to work. This lets grunt know, okay, I need to load that script file in order to do what I'm going to do. So we're going to pass in grunt contrib/JS and grunt the grunt contrib. Just you don't have to like pass in load npm grunt. Obviously, it's already running. So that should be it. That should be good enough to go. So let's find out. We're going to run grunt, and we're going to do --help. So So this is a good way of finding out like what version you're on for grunt and all that stuff. Find out what other options you have, and also you can see failed test, no tests found. So we should be seeing. Should be seeing JS hint show up there. I'm trying to think about why we would not be able to find JS hint. Well, here's a good way of finding out. Help verbose. I found using the verbose thing helps a lot. Oh, you know what I did? I just ran JS in npm install JS hint. That's not what we want. Sorry. Go back. Forgive me. It's supposed to be grunt contrib -js hint. That's what you're supposed to install. And don't forget save dev. And then I am going to jump over here and remove this because we don't want this in here. Now, I'm totally losing my train of thought. Now we have it. Now, victorious. Runs. JS hint. 3 files and free. Running post concat 0 files into it because it's not in there yet. So that's fine. See, so that's how you run the test. Now if I just run grunt like that, it's going to say default. There's no default task set. And you can set the default task in there. I'm going to let you look through the folder or look through the getting started stuff to find out default stuff. But you can set a default thing so you can just run grunt and have it go. I don't know how much that's going to be really useful in real production though, because I imagine when you're running grunt, you're going to want to be specific about what you want to do. But we can also create our own tasks that combine many other tasks within them. So that's what I think, and that's what I'm building to with this video. So we can run grunt.js hint, and you'll notice too, it did JS hint : myapp pre-concat, and then it did JS hint myapp post-concat. You can do specifically myapp pre-concat. That's all you want to do, and it'll go in and it'll do this. These, by the way, are called targets. That's the keyword for these. You're gonna look if you want to look up more info on them. Targets basically are saying, here's a setting that I want to give a name to. You know, it's groups of settings by name, and this is how you call those grouped settings. So for JS hint, I want a group of settings named whatever. And that'll make more sense when we delve into the next bit, which is concatenation. So the next thing we want to do is clear. And then after that, npm install. Let's make sure we get this right this time. Grunt contrib concat save dev. Okay. Nice and short. Okay. Let's add your bash.json file. Next thing I want to do is do the configuration for concat. Call it out by name. And let's go ahead and throw in the options out there. Now, options, typically from what I've seen, these are considered like global options for the concat task. You could do them under specific targets. So the option we're going to do is add a separator that we can concatenate. So what we're going to do, let me just take a step further back. It's definitely not my liquor bottle thing. We're going to concatenate these three files. We're going to do the header, int, and then first, and then basically any JavaScript file that's a myapp dash module to follow that header. And so it's sort of a way you could minimize how many script files you have on your site and reference it. And you can probably play around with using encapsulation for that. Encapsulation. So separator. Seen that the suggestion is to be semicolon with these. I'm not seeing why, if you properly formatted your code, you should have a semicolon or something that properly says that this is over. You should have a semicolon basically at the end of your script files. So that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm doing dash slash n so that we can create a sort of a development version of an unminified version of the CSS that we can have with dash n and have the blocks separated in spaces. Moving on. This is a target. Specifically for my app. So if I had another application, here's the settings for other app. So do something for my app, no settings. Other app, no settings. This is source. So whatever selectors we want. Subdirectory myapp-header.js, specifically calling out myapp-header.js. I'm going to do dev/js/ any subdirectory, and I'm just doing that for the heck of it. So like this not doing it will work in this demo. I'm just saying, like, grab any. Even if there were subdirectories, grab anything in here that starts with myapp-module, not meowdule. And regardless of what it ends with, as long as at the very end there's .js. So those two selectors, it's going to grab anything that matches those selectors, and it should do it in order. And we're going to specify destination. That's going to be okay, so it's going to concatenate it. It's going to concatenate those, any files that match those selectors. It's going to put the finished product in prod/js and create that folder for you, and create the myapp.js file. And I think that's it for the cat. Oh, and of course, I'm working on Windows all day, and I keep using Windows shortcuts. That's good. last time. So we're going to run grunt cat. And since we're not specifying a target, it's going to go ahead and run any targets that it finds. And specifically, it's going to run my app. So let's see what it did. In the JS folder, we now have my app. So we had these all broken up, and now we have this in the production folder, my app, all of it together with a nice little line breaking them up. You know, that's kind of nice. Okay, so now maybe, just maybe, we want to also uglify it. We want to have a minified version of this. Well, luckily for us, there's an app for that. Grunt contrib dash uglify. Let's run. Now we got the uglify installed. We're gonna set up uglify in here. And we're gonna call out my app. Give it that target. Even though I don't believe we have to with less, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit later when we run through the less plugin. But with less, you do kind of need to have targets, it seems like. Uglify, I don't think you do need to. So we set up our options. And again, could put options up here and make them global for the Uglify task, but I'm just not. We're going to say, yeah, we're going to say options are going to be, let's give us a source map. If you don't know what source maps are, look into it because they're pretty cool. We're going to give it a source map of /js /my app admin js.map. And oh yeah, we can do a banner option too. You can't sell them all along sometimes. With earlier today. My app created by So the way this works, first of all, the banner, I didn't really explain this. The banner is gonna tag that at the top of, it's gonna just throw that at the top of your minified file. Now, one thing you can do too in here, I'm gonna have to look at my examples. I started coming up with and then I couldn't finish. Is this thing, templates, that's what I was thinking. This is where you can use your package.json file. Oh, nope, not what I wanted. Oh, there, better. So say we wanted to, instead of calling it out specifically, we just wanted to give it a package.name. What this is going to do is it's going to look at this, and then this is looking at the package.json file. So it's going to find, when we call out .name, it's going to look in the package.json file name and put that in for us. So that's what that's doing. There's a lot of options with that. Take a look at templates. It looks like you can do some pretty cool stuff, dates, things like that. Even dynamic stuff, like I saw when you're going through a lot of files, you can even do like, I think it's base name, and so if you're copying files from one place to the next, you can use that for whatever the base name for that file is. To name the new one, let's see, dash name. So anyway, this files object is key value pair. So we're doing where we want it to go to and where we want it to come from. We want to uglify the dev.js. Actually, nope. We want to uglify the prod.js.myapp.js. So it's gonna. The idea is going to be for this workflow. First we're gonna run a JS hint. We're gonna do the pre-concat. Then we're gonna concatenate all the files. Then we're going to put it in the production folder. And then we're gonna minify that. Actually, sorry, we're gonna hint it again, and then we're gonna minify it. And yeah, and that's gonna be the way it goes. So again, where we want it to come from, where we want it to go to. That's how that's built. Alright. Our next step is save. Yep, it's there. It's gonna run my app by default because it's on the terminal in there. And let's make sure it works. And sure enough, here it is. Here's the source map. And here's our minified version of the file, including our header and our reference to the source map. Now, one thing I did notice was interesting. Earlier today, yep, it's still there here. I noticed earlier today, I don't know if this is a bug with Uglify in here or not, but it certainly doesn't seem like it would be. Maybe I'm putting my JavaScript or something like that in a way that's not conducive with JS hints, but this seems odd to me that there's this comma here. So let me break this up by file. Okay, so this is our first header file. Ends in a semicolon. Our second header file does not end in a semicolon, ends in a comma for some reason. And our third ends in a semicolon, as it should. We'll jump back over here. Ends in a semicolon. They all end in semicolons. No commas. So I'm not really sure why that ends up that way. Somebody just kind of keep an eye on. Depending, and maybe there's a better way to be doing your encapsulation than this if you're running JS. So anyway, that's that. That is number 5. Last thing is less. So we're going to go back here and we're going to install grunt2 less save dev. This is a longer one. Now, like I said, less seems to require targets. I tried doing this without targets earlier. I'll show you what I was doing. Options. It was really simple. Paths. Less. I'll go through all this stuff means. There's not much to it. So basically, div slash class. I actually want this to go to production. Yeah, that's what I want. And we want it to come from dev less style dot less. Okay, so I tried doing this and I could not get it to work. And it's really simple. I'm taking it from an example on the on the website. Should work. I had to get into IRC and ask around just to find out what was doing wrong. Turns out you need to have, I don't know actually if you need to have it named these things, elements. But this is, from what I've seen, this is what every example uses, development and promotion. So I just haven't experimented with it really. I just got to work and I haven't questioned it yet. So I might later. So development, this will actually work as it is, just like this. And we'll go ahead and clear. Less. Oh, got to I've gotten through most of this video already without saying it, but I'm a little bit under the weather, so pardon me for my voice. There we are. Yeah, I like it when stuff works. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be successful. I'm gonna fix that real quick. Stuff like that drives me a little freaking nuts. That'll work as it is, just doing my development, but another target. Let's see for this is promotion. Paths. That is, I don't know if you're familiar with less. If you're not, you should get familiar with that, or SAS, which I hear is better, but I haven't programmed that yet. Less is a shorthanded way of doing CSS, basically a programmatic way, of doing CSS. So you can import less files into less files. Like here, I've got this colors and less, and all this is doing is just defining blue. And in the style, I import colors.less, and now I'm able to reference that blue color. So if I wanted to change that blue to a different shade of blue, or really go nuts and change it to like a red color, then I can do that from here, and it would propagate out to any place that's using it. And the nice thing about this plugin is it's going to grab all of those imports for you and put them all into the same file at the end. And what this does is it tells you where, apparently this tells you where to look for those import files. So that's what that's. CSS. This is minified. source map. File name. CSS style min.css style map. Nope. Nope. This needs to be changed too. This needs to be dev -less. This needs to be dev -less. This is where the CSS file is going to land. Yeah, as you can probably tell, the thing I'm working off of, the other file that I'm working off of, did not use this folder structure, so I'm kind of organizing it. Last name files. We're almost done. We're almost done with this. Thank you for being with us. If you're still watching. /CSS style CSS. And we're going to grab this from less /style less. It's the dev. And I could probably do a lot more comments here too. Yeah, that's that. I think that should be about it. Let's add that in. That's nice and convenient. Yeah, no, we would want to do both because the development, because the development's still going to put it in production, and that's going to give us our unmodified version of style. Yeah, right. So in our CSS, we now have style, and we have our modified version of style, and we have our source map. So that's what that does. Now, for the grand finale, last thing. Obviously, you don't want to keep going in here and doing grunt. Like, if you wanted to do this workflow of do a JS hint before you concatenate, then do a JS hint after you concatenate to make sure it went through fine, and then do a uglify, and then do your CSS stuff. You obviously don't want to plug in each. JS, and you don't want to go step by step. It's not very efficient. So how do we make one task to do everything we want us to do? Let's do this. Register task. We'll give it a name. My app. Big surprise. And tell it what you want to do and run. So you just call them out by name, whatever you would be putting into the terminal, put in there. So JS hint. $50 on Webster, but I don't like it. And I'm playing around with Sublime Text, and it's got its quirks, but I am using it like crazy, so I'm gonna have to buy this. Drop another $70 on this is kind of long. Drop another $70 on another editor, but it's one that I really like. Uglify my app. And one thing I don't have called out in my other file is the less. We also want to do less. I'm just gonna. Let's just do that. We'll do both. We want to do both, so we're just gonna do that. All right. Let's save it. And now all we should have to do, and I am gonna just clear out all of this crap. I'm gonna delete the CSS folder. I'm gonna delete the JavaScript folder. Yes, it's okay to move to trash. And yes, it's okay to ask me again. Go ahead. I know you want to. Alright, so everything's cleared out of the production folder. What the hell that is? That's my mistake. There, map, JavaScript, full sized, JavaScript map, all of it there. That's all you gotta do. So I know this kind of was a long thing. It takes a little bit of getting used to go through this stuff and kind of get the hang of it. But once you kind of play around with it, and seriously, like the big thing. I've been dinking around with grunt for the last few weeks. I've been having such a hard time really getting into it until today when I just sat down and I just came up with these stupid little files and I just kind of played around with it and I just worked through the bugs and I kind of got my head around it. If you just dedicate a couple hours to that, it makes a lot more sense to you. So hopefully this is helpful to you.